So, the big purple dad came from space, and he did some crazy things in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
We're probably going to spoil some of those things, so maybe go watch the movie or not care about spoilers, because you're an enlightened person.
Pause this video, go to your local cinema, and watch The Avengers: The Infinity War, and then come back. Welcome back to Screen. I'm Andrew, and this is Tom.
Hello, I'm Tom.
Tom's joining me today. And the reason why is we're doing a little bit of an X-Men deal, and neither I nor Chris knows very much about those X-Men comic books. So we were thinking this time around, Marvel put out this long timeline before, and they were saying how there's, Affinity War? Jeez.
Infinity War.
What am I saying? Infinity War Part 1, Infinity War Part 2. But then they switched it up on us, and now it's not called that anymore. Or at least that's what they're telling us. They might switch it back.
Infinity War Part 2.
But I think Tom, you were thinking that the reason why they did that is because now Marvel is sort of getting those sweet X-Men into their.
Well, they got the X-Men, they got the Fantastic Four, and they're probably going to use one of these two to be in the next movie. It's going to be the Fantastic Four, and it's not going to be the X-Men.
Okay.
That's my new takeaway, having seen the movie.
So like we said, spoilers ahoy. The Thanos kind of broke the universe. He kind of like split that universe in half and gobbled up half of it, and left only half left for us.
Just half the people. I'm sure they won't bring any of those people.
Oh, I'm sure all of them are long dead. So how do we get those Fantastic Four and perhaps also the X-Men? But all I want to see is my good friend Logan high-fiving and shaking hands with Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah, I think that's what's good. I think what the X-Men have that I like instead of the Fantastic Four is the Fantastic Four are four people, and they're four kind of bad people. I don't like the Fantastic Four. I'm just gonna let everyone know that. So, and what's good about the X-Men is there's a long history of like 2 X-Men are Avengers, and then everyone else is just a bunch of jerks.
Mm-hmm. So
you can do an X-Men movie where there's a bunch of jerks, and then you can have like Wolverine and probably Storm show up in the actual Avengers continuity. Jesus. And then you have fewer characters than with the Fantastic Four, where you got to bring in all these people,
right? And
they all suck. So before Infinity War happened, my thought for how they were going to bring the X-Men in was, in the Avengers you have the Vision and you have the Scarlet Witch.
Okay.
The Vision, he's visible. My power is visibility. It's not a great power.
So yeah, those
and
two.
In the comics, Scarlet Witch was involved in one of the most controversial but also most modern X-Men storylines. I fell off level, that's fine.
Yeah.
Where she basically gets rid of all the mutants. She kills like thousands of X-Men. She turns the first X-Men movies, the Blob, into just the guy who has a lot of skin.
Okay, ooh,
and
interesting.
It's not good. I don't like that.
So she's sort of a bit of a Thanos herself.
A little bit. And okay. I thought that what they were going to do is maybe they would reverse that, like, because they did Civil War, and they did Civil War much differently than Civil War happened in the comics.
Okay.
So I thought, they'll do something like that, and that way we'll get a story name that people recognize.
Right. They do like to do a story name that people recognize.
Yeah, but not have anything actually really related to
That's
what
not
the plot was.
Not necessary, yeah.
But Scarlet Witch is gone now as one of the people.
Right.
And
so she can't really
do a whole lot.
Work her magic there. So I mean it looks like Captain Marvel's gonna kind of come in and do some cleanup.
Yeah, they're gonna do some other stuff
because she's like supposed to be like the most powerful character that they've they've put in these
well,
movies.
maybe.
Well, what they're saying. I'm not referring to the comics. I'm saying like that's what they're saying, that she's gonna be like the most powerful yet. But yeah. So
having Captain Marvel also makes the X-Men's return a little. It limits kind of what characters they can use, because there's the X-Men Rogue, who got all of her powers by stealing all of Captain Marvel's powers and killing her.
Oh my!
And then she came back, and then she got her powers back.
Now is that like the true origin, or like, I know these superhero types usually have multiple.
I mean, that's how she got her powers, basically. When you think of Rogue, Rogue has two sets of powers. She has what the hell? Okay. She has the power stealing powers that she had in the X-Men movies.
The Kirby powers,
and
the
then
Mega Man
in the comics, she has more of like, she has Captain Marvel's powers. She can fly. She's incredibly strong. And that creates kind of this interesting situation where if they bring her in, we're all going to expect that to happen.
Oh yeah.
I'm just going to step in the water all the time. And so that's a little wrinkle there. But they're going to bring the Fantastic Four in first, I think.
Do you think
because there was a line in one of the movies where Tony Stark sold the Avengers Tower. And that's where the Fantastic Four basically are also known tower residents.
Okay,
so
yeah.
You might have some rich spacefarers do that. Also, the Fantastic Four give you a very easy Robert Downey Jr. replacement in Reed Richards, who is basically just also a science dick.
Okay, well there you go. All right, we got our science stick back. That's good.
But I don't know a whole lot about the Fantastic Four, besides like the things I do know, because
I mean, all they got to do is make a good movie.
They had a kid. Howard the Duck babysat him once.
Oh wow. Oh man, they could really. I'm waiting for that Howard the Duck reprise. That'd be very good. That'd be kind of fun if they did make a Howard the Duck movie as sort of like it's not part of like
it's an apology.
Well, it's like not part of the main storyline. It's sort of like the Marvel TV shows where it's like it's part of the same universe, but they don't really match up. It doesn't really matter like continuity wise. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah,
we have part one of this film series.
Yeah.
In part two, they're gonna punch Thanos until he gives back the people that went
some people
away.
are probably gonna die.
Yeah, I mean it's probably,
and those people are probably gonna be the people who don't have contracts for the next movies. Yeah. Mostly Robert Downey Jr.
Right.
And probably Chris Evans.
And
we're gonna miss them, I guess. Probably. I'll miss them.
I'll definitely miss those folks.
All right, I have to jump.
So, the end results. You think we're gonna see some new?
I think we're gonna see a lot of new people.
A lot of new faces.
It makes sense to have kind of some new blood in the movies.
Yeah.
You have the X-Men, who are very popular. You have the Fantastic Four, who are also very popular. And you might as well strike while you got them.
I get you.
And I was going to say they were going to, before I said, of course, they're going to reverse House of M, which got rid of the X-Men to make the X-Men. But I think they're going to go about it a little differently. I think they're going to, and I've got kind of an idea, a pitch, if you will. That's how you do it on this show.
We do like our pitches
for how
here.
They like doing storylines that are recent in the comics, but they don't do them how they were in the comics, but they like doing them kind of recently.
They want to give you something kind of fresh.
Like Civil War was fairly new when they did the movie. Civil War was like 2006, 2007, and they didn't really do Civil War, but they did enough of. They basically took the concept of Civil War, which is what if these two guys fight, and made a movie out of it. And basically, my pitch for an X-Men movie is almost exactly the same, in that there's an X-Men storyline from 2012 that no one liked, but it sold a lot.
Okay.
Called Avengers vs. X-Men.
Oh, okay.
Where the Avengers and the X-Men fight, and we'd be here for a long time if I had to explain why the Avengers and X-Men fought.
But it probably wouldn't be for the same reason anyway.
It wasn't. But And I don't think they're going to do it for that reason, because you have to introduce a lot of characters for that.
Right.
But what I'm kind of imagining is, like, you have a world where, like, in the aftermath of Thanos, you have the X-Men appear on one of their various island nations. Because the X-Men, if they like something, they like having an island nation.
Okay.
They have Genosha, which was where all the mutants lived for a while, and then it got destroyed by Professor X's fetal twin, who got eaten in the womb.
Jeez.
Let's not worry about that, though. They have Utopia in the modern comics, where they all just live and hang out, except for the ones who don't like them, which is very specific, but look, the X-Men continuity is very complicated.
Yeah, I mean...
And one thing that... And so basically what I'm imagining is you have these new people appear, and you have kind of some new characters in the Marvel... You have a new Avengers, basically.
Okay.
Which is in itself a comic concept.
Mm-hmm.
You have the new Avengers, who are probably like, I don't know, a new Captain America, you have War Machine, you have all the characters who still are alive after the movie, basically.
Right.
And you have them see this new island appear in the ocean. They see a new threat that's appeared, and they, as the Avengers do, because they want to do the same plot again with Tony Stark has all his thing where he wants to deal with these threats once they appear.
Right.
So this is a threat that appears, and now they have to handle it.
Right.
And oh my god, the buttons are so hard.
It's a bit of a Batman v Superman kind of deal.
And you have kind of this new island, and you have these new people who you're getting to know, and this way you can get to know kind of some of the X-Men.
Now this is I feel like there's like a piece here that I might be missing.
There is another piece that is kind of important, which is, I'm kind of thinking like the Spider-Man movie.
Okay.
Where in the Spider-Man movie, they didn't really have an origin story for him, because we already knew that. And for the X-Men, it's kind of the same. We have a lot of knowledge of who the X-Men are.
Right, yeah.
We've seen this Professor Xavier story play out twice now with Magneto.
Right.
So what I'm pitching is kind of, we jump sort of into the middle of the X-Men continuity a little bit.
Okay.
But Professor Xavier's dead. You don't cast him.
Ooh.
He's just gone.
Okay. It's almost like a spiritual sequel.
Yeah.
To the ones that we know.
You have
already.
these X-Men living on an island. They're being led by Cyclops, who's here. And here's my my real opinion on the X-Men is, Cyclops is the X-Men's best villain.
Ooh.
Because he's just a horrible nerd who wants to make all the important decisions to save his people.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants to be the guy to make the hard decisions.
Okay.
And I think that makes an interesting villain, because he's a good guy, but he's also not a good guy. So
a villain in the sense like Civil War villain.
A Civil War style villain.
Okay.
Oh my god.
That's fun. I like that kind of stuff.
And you have you can introduce a couple characters. You can introduce you can have Magneto still if you want, which he's important, I guess. Oh my god. Where the fuck do you go, Nightcrawler? Nightcrawler is having a lot of trouble. His power sucks. And yeah, what you have is kind of the Avengers showing up, and they're interacting with this new guy who wants to be a real hard ass because people haven't been paying attention to him, and now they're starting to, and they could be a danger to his community of people. Right. Which I think makes for an interesting character.
Okay.
And you can have it be in the end that hold on. It's very hard to play this game and talk about this at the same time. I've realized the problem with this plan. You have a guy trying to protect his people. You have him. You can have fewer X-Men. You don't have to introduce Nightcrawler. You can introduce the main guys. You can introduce.
You can bring those in
Wolverine,
later if you feel like it.
You can introduce Storm. You can introduce the people who are important enough to be talking with the leader of their people, as opposed to just some random mutants who are fun but not that important. And my eventual pitch for this is that eventually the Avengers come in, and the Avengers probably lose for a while, and we get to introduce kind of some traditional canonical pairings, like Black Panther and Storm are married in the comics, so
Okay.
you could have them be friends.
All right.
You could have Wolverine be friends with literally any Avenger, because Wolverine is friends with literally every Avenger.
Okay.
And then you can create a situation kind of where the X-Men, who in the comics are canonically split between two groups for, I think they still are, Jesus. It's been like 12 years now, where there's been two groups of X-Men. There's been Cyclops, who wants to make the hard choices, and there's Wolverine, who wants to be a cool dad to everyone.
Yeah.
You can have Wolverine kind of spin off and be his cool dad self.
Ooh.
And go along with the Avengers, and then you can have Cyclops be like, well, no, I'm going to protect my islands.
Mm-hmm.
You guys get off my goddamn islands. And then you have kind of two separate groups of X-Men who you can follow.
That's pretty good.
Perhaps in two separate movies.
That's twice the movies.
Twice the movies.
That's a good marketing right
It
there.
also lets you tell different types of stories with both. It gives you, because you have a lot of characters with the X-Men.
That's true.
So if you want to do a lot of different characters, you could do it that way. Have a couple different movies and then come back and bring them together. God.
Yeah, you don't have to like shove them all into every movie, like in the past X-Men series.
And if you go into the Avengers, you have Wolverine and you have Storm, and then you don't need anyone else.
Yeah.
In the mainline movies, you just. Well, I mean, like you can have them, but you don't have to.
So, I think there's like one thing like we don't necessarily need to see an origin story all over again. But what I think as someone who doesn't really know the comics very well, how would this? So they're just like on this island. Like, where did they come from? Like, what?
That's really the big sticking point. And really, my answer is Thanos did some magic at the end of the movie.
Okay, so are they from like an alternate universe?
Maybe.
Or like they have like how is it that they didn't exist before? Like they would have been known.
I'm imagining they either didn't exist and were brought into an alternate universe of some kind, or they hold on, I had a thing in my brain for this. They appeared because Thanos got rid of half the people, and I can't think of an X-Men off the top of my head who can do it, but there's probably an X-Men who can be like, oh, you can't see me now, who's been hiding the island this whole time.
Like an invisible X-Men.
Professor X was doing that. They were using him to block them from everyone's minds.
So isn't that basically just like the Black Panther thing again, though? Or it's like, here's this like country people didn't know.
Yeah,
happened.
look, I don't have a lot of original ideas.
all right. I just want to make sure here. Okay. So it feels like we're describing a movie that's like post Infinity War Part 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think they're going to be... Because the real trouble with Infinity War and the X-Men is there are in-canon X-Men movies that are coming out in February of next year, and then in August of next year.
Yeah, they're going to have to like wait a little bit.
And they gotta wait a little bit. That's why the Fantastic Four are going to be there.
Yeah, Fantastic Four.
They're not doing nothing.
Yeah, they can't get that right.
They had their shot.
They had their shot 3 times, right?
A lot of times.
Yeah, and I guess like Silver Surfer's in that mix. Is he part of that?
Yeah, I mean they're gonna do Galactus probably for the next phase. That would make sense. Galactus is basically the other memorable Avengers villain and the one they didn't have the rights to. So,
do we want to talk about casting at all? Because like if we're gonna redo the X-Men,
that's really. It's tough.
It's tough. I mean, the toughest one I feel like people that Wolverine there.
That's why
tough.
in my pitch here you might have noticed there was no Professor X because Patrick Stewart is Professor X. I mean, you can't replace him.
When X-Men came out, the first one, I'm like, oh, Professor X, that should be Patrick Stewart, and then it was,
and then that's good
because he is the bald man. That's it. That's he looks like Professor X, and
that's what he does.
And he just like that's like his thing.
That's who he is.
He's like the captain guy.
Yeah.
So
getting rid of him makes this very easy to do.
Yeah.
Comparatively.
But then there's
you still have Wolverine, who is a tough tough cast.
I think you gotta make Wolverine a tiny man.
I think you gotta make him a tiny man.
Because if you can't make him like he was in the movies, you make him more like the comics.
Yeah, my pitch basically had Wolverine as like a tiny angry dad.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know who the fuck would play that part.
No.
But
Jason Alexander.
Jason Alexander. I mean, part of me just wants to say, like, let Tom Hardy do it. He has a weird voice.
Is he short enough?
He's not short enough, but you can make people as short as you want, thanks
I guess
to
so.
the magic of movies.
Now the question is the Venom movie part of the MCU?
That's a very good question.
That's something we don't know yet. I hope it's not.
I hope Tom Hardy's weird accent is not yet part of the MCU. It could be, though.
Short Tom Hardy, if they give him, like, negative platform shoes.
Jonathan Rhys-Davies.
There we go. There we go.
He has experience.
So but I think, like, you know, Wolverine has to, he doesn't really age very much.
No, he doesn't.
So we got to keep him, like,
you gotta make it someone who's not going to age significantly in the next couple of years.
you gotta pick a young guy and age him up, and then just let him grow into it, and then you age him down once technology catches up.
Okay.
But I guess we're already kind of there. I mean, we're pretty good at aging people down at the moment. We could be better, but it's still not bad.
We could.
And it's usually not for a whole movie, but maybe in like 10 years we'll be there.
Yeah.
I
really don't know who you cast as Wolverine.
It's tough.
It's a real tough one.
I mean, Hugh Jackman was kind of an unknown, right? I mean,
he wasn't. I don't think he was an unknown, but he was. It was interesting because at the time he wasn't like anyone's idea of who Wolverine was.
I
but
mean,
he's turned out to be like the guy you think of when you think of Wolverine.
Yeah, he's played the same superhero longer than anyone ever else has. I believe.
I imagine by years at the very least.
I mean, like, I know, like, Adam West still did like a few years ago did another Batman movie, but
yeah,
I don't know if I count that because
I wouldn't count that. Bro.
Can we talk about Deadpool for a bit?
Okay.
Maybe I'll regret this later when we do a Deadpool episode of this, but I definitely want to see Deadpool 3 part of the MCU, but not Deadpool 1 and 2. And because he's Deadpool, he could reference that. And
he gets to reference the fact that he was friends with Thanos.
Yes. I think, doesn't he even do that in Deadpool 2?
He does do that in Deadpool 2.
At the time of this recording, I don't think Deadpool 2 is even out.
Deadpool 2 is not out
It's coming out soon, though. Yeah, that's... So yeah, like...
I definitely want... I feel like he'd be good to bring in.
You don't want to stop that series. I feel like it's a good series. It's fun. People like it. It's like rated R superhero stuff, which is like, not that, like, I don't need it to be rated R. It's just kind of fun to have one.
You want to have one.
You want to have one. Which also kind of makes it... It kind of makes it a little bit difficult to work into the MCU because that's very PG-13. The TV shows are pretty rated R, I'd say, but the movies are all PG-13. So putting Deadpool in there, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know quite how it would work.
I mean, the simplest solution would be like Deadpool movies are still rated R.
Yeah.
He'd
have to say fuck a lot less when they cross over.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean,
they can make a joke about it though. You can have a goof where he tries to say some bad words and they bleep him.
Yeah,
and it's like, why is this happening?
But the problem with it though is that I feel like if there's like another Avengers movie, like he'd break it. Like there's like, I don't know. I don't know if you could have him just kind of like casually break the fourth wall in a movie with that high stakes. I don't know. Like maybe I'm being short-sighted here, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough to fit him in there because you might just not put him in like Avengers movies.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of it. Like, I think he can kind of be in other movies, but I mean, they know what they're doing pretty much.
They do.
They're not gonna break they're not gonna break movies. Like, I don't think Deadpool's gonna break anything. They just use them responsibly.
Use Deadpool responsibly.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
Yeah, he'd be fun to have along. I think though he's interesting because a lot of the problems with bringing him in are kind of the same with the problems with bringing the X-Men in.
How's that?
Because the X-Men tonally are a lot more, at least in terms of what stories they've chosen to adapt in the past, are like real kind of downers.
Yeah,
like,
the X-Men are always
the X-Men
bad
are like
stuff.
They're like, wow, everyone is a huge racist to the X-Men.
Yeah.
That's basically the plot of all the ones they wanted to adapt.
Yeah.
Or Magneto wants to commit genocide, but you're gonna like him. Which they hasn't been a problem for them yet.
Yeah. They just did a whole two.
They've done a whole movie about that, but you know, and that's kind of the problem. It's why I don't think they're gonna bring a lot of the same things back, because like Professor Xavier, he's either a huge douchebag or he's campaigning for mutants' rights, and if you wanna, that's hard for him. Like, it's hard to fit that into a universe where like you have Captain America, who's a good guy.
Yeah,
that's why a lot of the X-Men comics that deal with stuff like that are more they're more independent. Like the storyline for X2, well, there goes Cyclops, R.I.P. The storyline for X2 came from like just an unrelated graphic novel, and that not like part of the, not necessarily not the continuity, but not part of the continuity.
Yeah,
and that's an interesting like wrinkle there, is that a lot of their storylines don't fit so great with the happy world of the Avengers.
Yeah.
And
there's just so much they could do. Like, there's like the X-Men, as we've seen over the past decades, like the X-Men is its own thing. Like the Marvel universe can have a whole bunch of just X-Men movies. There's Spider-Man, like there could be a whole bunch of Spider-Man movies just on their own.
Just a lot of Spider-Mans.
Fantastic Four, they like, if they did it right for once, they could probably do a bunch of Fantastic Four movies, and then they could just shuffle them around like they've been doing, like saying hi to everyone. Like each phase, I feel like, has had, like, phase 1 is like, here are a bunch of characters. Phase 2 is like, now these characters play with each other. Phase 3, it's like, now these characters play with each other, but it's no big deal. And like phase 4, you know,
these characters die.
I guess so, but like, you know, what's the next step? Because like, I like that phase 3 where it's like, oh yeah, these characters play with each other, but don't even worry about it. It's like, it's not even important. They're just like, it's, you know, like Captain America's saying hi to all the kids in Spider-Man school.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, what's that next phase? What's phase 4 as we look ahead to the future here? You know, what's that? What's the defining characteristic of phase 4?
What's the good hook?
I don't know.
More characters. Many more characters.
Mutants, and
She-Hulk is a lawyer.
They get to say, oh, there, it's She-Hulk. There we go. They get to say the word mutant now.
They get to say the word mutant.
That's
they
gonna be
cannot
fun.
make the Inhumans movies.
Yeah,
now that the TV show sucked.
Well, we didn't do the usual defining movie story arcs, whatever. But you know, we thought a lot about the future of the MCU and where it's going. And I think I had a good time. I don't know about you.
I blame myself for all structural difficulties.
I mean, we didn't really attempt so much to make a structure of anything. It was just sort of like, I think we just all saw the Avengers and we're kind of psyched to see what happens next. So
see the new Avengers.
In about a year from now. So if you in the comments have any ideas about where the MCU is going to go, what movies you'd like to see, you just let us know. And of course, if there's any other shows, movies, video games, whatever you want to see adapted on screen to screen or just talked about like we did this time, you can also let us know in the comments. And we'll see you next time here on Screen to Screen.
Goodbye.
Bye.